Thanks. Well, this is the fourth in the series. We've read two books to start our series off, Beautiful Country and Go Back from Where You Came From, because we tried to decide this time to focus a little bit more on our Asian community. So that's how we got involved with this. Then we had a discussion last week of Param and Alejandra, and that was fascinating, really good. So if you happen to miss that, Alex, thank goodness, has got all this on video, so you can go back and check it. So today you're going to hear about some stories in our very own community of people that are involved in our Asian community here. There's going to be 3 short videos where they're going to introduce themselves and answer a few of the questions that we had for them. And then we're going to have a video on cultural humility, which Alex has opened up to us, a discussion for any questions or comments you might have. And then we're going to kind of close it up with a thank you and telling about another program. So that's what's going to happen. And the first thing we're going to do is Peggy's going to talk to our first local person, and his name is Boyan. Peggy?
Hello there. I am so happy to introduce you to Boyan Wang, who was born in the south of China, and he's spending his last year of college at Keuka College. This is his senior year, and he will graduate with the class on May 20th. I think you're going to really enjoy him and his interview. I've watched it several times, and I can't wait to see it again.
Thank you.
I'm born in the south of the China. The city named Xiamen is pretty close to Hong Kong and Guangzhou. Actually, it is the big island, and so there are so many vibrant and people in there. Yeah.
Okay.
Before the pandemic, I remember so many foreign people, they will visit my city. So actually, it is the global city. So yeah,
Okay.
my school is in China, my hometown. So like in China, where high school and middle school is very large, maybe like 50 people were in the same classroom. So only, I think it's just like one professor, he's standing here, just he output the knowledge and student get the knowledge just like this. But I found the teaching system here is much interesting. It's like student, they can participate with professor. We have a lot of activity in class. We are very funny. So if something I think it is wrong, I can hands up. I can talk with the professor in class. But in China, we probably know to do this. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So if you had a question in China of your professor, you probably wouldn't ask it during class time, but would you have another time to ask them that?
Yeah, maybe after class we can talk about this. Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
But if we in class, it's more like respect for the professor in China. Like yeah. But in here, if we have something wrong, we can directly to put my hand up and say, I think this is wrong. So I think the right thing is what? Yeah. Yeah. I have a brother and a sister. They are younger than me.
Oh, so they look up to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of responsibility on my shoulders. So yeah. Actually, it is my senior year, so it is like a cooperation program, like student in Jimei University, and this university is in Xiamen, Jimei. So student in there, they have the they have the opportunity to study here. Like if they get a very good grade, very high GPA, and have a lot of experience, so they can apply for this. And I get the get the get a scholarship, and I have the opportunity to study here. So the other reason I want to learn a different culture, and I want to talk with the foreign people, like here, because in China we only like use the Mandarin, and then there are so many Chinese people. So that is I want to talk with the foreign people and communicate with them and know about more things around the world and know it exists on my country. I think the most different is the different culture, and the culture is very interesting. So like something like we're eating or we're living or the environment, our living environment, and all the things is pretty different. The language, especially the language environment. Like when I remember when the first day I came here, I'm very worried because like the English environment is very like maybe very nervous. But I think it need time. So after a few weeks, I can adapt of this, and yeah, and I remember at the first week when the professor he teach us in class, and I very hard to understand what she meaning. I mean, yeah, I think it need time to adapt of this.
Sure.
Yeah. Yeah, but in China we learn English at a grade of 3, but we don't have the lot of opportunity to talk about it. You mean?
Oh,
I mean, the only common language is Mandarin. So yeah, so we are very good at like writing or uh writing or
read,
reading.
maybe?
Yeah, writing and
Uh-huh.
reading. Yeah.
Much more difficult to speak any
Yeah.
foreign language. Yes. Uh-huh. Very good.
Yeah, like I come from Jimei University in China, and this is a super big university, I think. They have the 23 uh college they combine together and become this
Oh,
university. So every college is much bigger than the Kyoto College. So there are so many people, so many students in there. So student like I I'm from the like student association. So I'm as the leader in here. So I usually organize a lot of the activity like sing and dance or so many things. So but I think because Kyoto College is a very small college, so students have more opportunity to join communicate like community activity, like very close stuff like this. I'm as a Chinese people, and like no, not only me, I think so many Chinese students, before they came here, and they were worried about like, you mean, I mean like drug or gun or like some sexy things. I mean, because all of these things is forbidden in China. So in China, we don't have the gun, we don't have the drug, like thing like this, stuff like this. But after I came here, uh, I I think because it's a different. I mean, the both countries have the different like society, so it is not like totally good or bad things. It depends on different country. So every people must to adapt of all of this. So maybe you have the gun is good thing. You can protect yourself, and it maybe as a bad thing, it can harm others. So I think it's no totally good or totally bad things. I think everyone, if they want to study abroad, they must to know the different country, the like policy or so many things. They must to adapt of this, because people we live in Earth, we as a group, is no single one. So a country no can't, because of you only want to adjust the policy or something. So we must to adapt all of this. So yeah. Oh, I told them the people in here is very friendly. It's not like the news, like the newspaper. They say, you know, some social media. They always give us like some gun attack, like the drug, like some bad things. I told them don't don't think like the social media. The social media will lead you to the one side. But if you want to enjoying the real things, if you want to know the real things in here, you absolutely want like uh, like like come here and really enjoying the daily life in here, different culture, and you will know what amazing here. Absolutely, yeah. It's totally the same, you know, especially like, you know, the tension between the both country. So many things about like our two, like our normal people in both two country. We don't know each other. So many things, because you know the media lead so many things. So the truly things is you put yourself in that country and enjoying that by yourself, and you will feel that's amazing. Absolutely, Chinese people is very friendly and very like to foreign people to visit the country, you know. But very sad because the pandemic. So very like only a few foreign people traveling there. But now totally changed. You can travel there. So I think very worth very exciting things. It is like a drug or gun, like this thing. So we don't need to worry about it, because I think in this society, so this in American society, it's a very big like hub. So many people, so many kinds of people living here. So the truly problem is no gun or or no gun or drug. Is to human they heart they inside. So if you want to take the drug, if you want to use gun to kill people, it comes from the people heart. It's not this society. It is not the society wrong. I think so. So I will talk about my friends. So let them don't worry about all of this. You can come to you can study abroad. Absolutely. Feel to enjoy a different culture. Yeah. I like to study here, and it is a really, really great experience for me. And like talk with you guys, because you know, yeah. So
Very
very,
much.
very good experience. Yeah, and I when I live in my host family, they give me so many amazing things. Like we go to the cave and skateboarding, and like laser gun, so many things. And they take me to they took me to the maybe primary school, and I show some Chinese history, like culture, to the primary school.
Wonderful.
Yeah, that is
Oh.
awesome. Yeah, and the teaching and the study system and in here is completely different. So I also enjoying everything in here. I I I want to enjoy all of the things in here. Like you know, especially for the foreign student, like exchange student like me, we just want to feel a different culture. So like go to the farm or visit local people's house. Like this is like very simple things, but it is very worthy for us. Like very good things. Yeah. I want to say a lot of things, but you know the time is limited. So if you want to know anything, please contact with me. I will be here. Yeah.
Well, before that, let me tell you a little bit. Alex welcomed Boyan to come and see the library here in Penn. And Peggy and I joined in, and Boyan came in just looking around, and he said, "This is for the community." And of course, Alex was as joyful as ever and said, "Yes, and anybody can, once you have a library card, you can use it." Very different from where he comes from, because you have to put so much money into the library, and then you can take out books or tapes or whatever, but it can only be to the equivalent of the amount of money that you put in. And then when you bring back the books, then you could take out others, but not everybody can use the public library. He was overwhelmed with the amount of books, especially the graphic novels and the children's section. He said, "You mean children can come in and take out books?" He was just thought that was amazing. So that was a little bit. And then we invited him down to the Chinese restaurant. Jenny, who is a business owner here in Penn, and she has just opened her heart up to Boyan when he came in, because they're from the same area in China. Can you imagine? So they were talking back and forth, and Peggy and I and Kathy Wei were looking at each other thinking, "Whoa, something's going on here." So it was really exciting, and he gave a thumbs up for the best food, Chinese food he had had. So now you're going to get a chance to meet Jenny.
Well, I'd like to introduce Jenny Dong, and we're going to have a few questions for her. And the first one is, Jenny, where were you born?
I was born in China, Fujian.
Fujian? Okay. And where did you go to school?
Fujian.
Okay. And did you go to high school?
Yes, I went to high school, but not college.
Not college? Okay. Did you meet your husband in China?
Yes.
And where did you get married?
I got married in China.
When was that?
It's 1991.
How did you meet your husband?
Just from my friend.
From a friend?
Yes.
What was school like in China? Did you start in kindergarten like kids do here at 5 years old?
No, it's 9 years.
9 years old. Okay. And you graduated high school?
Yes.
Okay. And what were the classes like? Were they big? Were they small?
It's not too big. Not too big. High school just one class.
Just one class?
In our countries.
Okay. Right. And when did you learn English?
In China, middle school.
In middle school, you started learning English. Tell us about your family. Are you your husband, your children?
Yes. My husband, my mom, and my sister, brother, all is here.
Okay. And what about your children? How many children do you have?
I have 2 children, 1 daughter, 1 son.
Mm-hmm. And where does your daughter live?
My daughter lives in New Jersey.
Okay.
And she works in sales.
Okay. And what about your son?
My son, he studied in high school.
Mm-hmm.
College in Rochester.
Okay. Where does he go to college in Rochester? You know what school he goes to? What college?
RIT.
Okay. And so did your daughter go to school here in Penn?
No,
No? What about
in
your
New York City.
in New York City? And what about your son? Did he go to school here in Penn Yan?
Yes.
Yes.
High school, middle school,
Okay.
all here.
So when you went when you came to the United States, when you first came to the United States, where did you live?
In New York, Chinatown. Chinatown, New York City.
What did you do in New York City? Did you work? Did you work?
Yes, just a part-time and take care of my child.
Tell us about your. When did you move to Penn Yan?
We moved here is 2012.
Okay. Why did you choose Penn Yan?
Penn. Here the people are friendly. It's safe and quiet here, and it's a fresh air and nearby church because I want to keep my faith.
Do you like living in Penn Yan?
Yes, I like here.
What do you like about Penn Yan?
It's a warm. People is friendly.
Mm-hmm. And you built. And what do you and your husband do?
My husband and I own a Chinese garden restaurant.
And that's here in Penn Yan?
In Penn, 108 Main Street.
How did you find out about the restaurant? And why did you choose to make Penn Yan your home?
We found out about from the newspaper in New York City.
And you built that business?
Yes.
Yes. When you came here, after seeing an ad in the newspaper, did you just buy the business?
Yes.
And do you just own the business now, or do you own that whole building that it's in?
Now we own the whole building.
Okay, very nice. When did you come to the United States?
In 1999.
And why did you come?
Why did you come? I came here for our best life and freedom and a few reasons. So we could not control what will happen if we have the second child. My dream is life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. For freedom, and I want to stay in United States and enroll.
What year was that?
The year is 2016.
Do you miss China?
Sometimes.
Why?
There's some, because there's some family is still there.
You ever get to go back to China?
Not right now.
Not in a long time. Tell us about your experience tutoring with Billy.
Billy. It's I met Billy. I'm so lucky. She's my best friend, and she's warm, like a member of my family. I love her.
Thank you, Jenny, very much.
You're welcome. Thank you, everyone. That was Jenny, and as Ann already told you, Kathy Way, Boy, and I had a wonderful meal there. So please order if you don't already order from her, or even go and eat there. It was just wonderful. And now I'd like you to meet the third person that we interviewed, Shay Bradley. Shay was adopted from China at a very young age, and she spent her life in this community, except when she went away to college. And she's going to share her experiences and her thoughts with you.
So what I would say first and foremost is thank you very much for inviting me. I'm very excited to be a part of this. And what I would say for my experience is not the postage stamp experience of all other Asian American adoptees. Everybody's story is the same but different. So I was adopted in 1997 from Guangdong province, China. And I grew up here in Penn for most of my childhood and adult life. And I would say it's pretty normal American life, honestly. I grew up just like every other kid in a house with siblings and, a family, and in a small community like this is pretty normal. As far as our greater community goes, I never had any problems when I was growing up here. Really, I think it was not really picked out by any friends or any of my peer group until we hit like middle school that I was, different. And even that wasn't from my close girlfriends. It was from other classmates or other groups of our peer age that weren't really...
That didn't know you.
I guess, essentially. And it was kind of it's that middle school thing of you find something to pick at some kid about for whatever reason. And I think everybody has experienced it in a little bit of ways. Mine, of course, the very obvious is the fact that I'm not white. And it's not so much that it was entirely a problem, but it was something for people to target, something to be teased about.
Okay.
And it's tricky because I never felt any different. My mom, the one thing she did that I think was one of the best lessons I ever learned was that she always tried to take race out of the equation. When I was feeling upset about something was, that it wasn't just because I wasn't white. It just happened to be that was the one thing that was different enough to be picked at. There's just as likely to be some kid getting picked at for being fat, some kid getting picked at for being skinny, some kid getting picked at for being smart or being stupid or, just something other. And being Chinese just happened to be mine.
Mm-hmm.
I think one thing is that I've learned how to navigate it because this is my life. It's not going to change. I am who I am, and we settled here. We just closed on our house in January, so we've really settled here. And, we want to someday have a family here. And that, too, is something big to think about. And it's just that I've learned to navigate it. The questions don't change. Oh, where are you from? Oh, no. Where are you really from? That doesn't change. That still happens. Sometimes it's a little bit better nuanced and sometimes it's not. The biggest thing is discerning intent. And that's what I've grown accustomed to and had to learn that can't be taught, is discerning the intent from people's questions. When they're asking, oh, well, are you Ecuadorian? And I go, no, I'm Chinese. Oh, well, do you go back and go visit your family? No, I'm adopted. My family's here. And then just changing it, the course of the interaction from there. You learn. Some people, it's just that curiosity because you look different and they think that's something interesting to start segueing into the conversation with. And other times there is a little bit of a malice to it too, which again, I've just learned how to navigate and kind of turn it on its other head, which is, I think it's a skill and it's an unfortunate art that you figure out as you go with time and experience.
Mhm. What a wise woman, Shay.
No, I think
No, it's not that it's ever been a question. Like, I've never questioned my identity. I've never questioned whether or not I am my mother's daughter, because she's my person. She and I are so close. So it's never been an issue there. And it's never been an issue where I've contemplated, I'm going to go find my biological family. Like, I haven't had that kind of turmoil. And my family has always been very proud of my adoption, very proud of my heritage. And my sister and I were both raised to be very proud of that. My younger sister was adopted 5 years after me. And, but even her perspective will be completely different from mine in some things. And a lot of that is because I was one of the few adoptees in Penn. There were only a few others maybe before me. As far as community members go, maybe there's one other family I can think of that had an adoptee before me in the Penn system. And even then, there's like a 10-year gap between us. So it was like being treated like a whole new person in a whole new era of education, of community, of politics, of all of it. And my sister, she came 5 years after me, which even in that 5 years feels completely different. Her class, I could see it when she was being raised, was more diverse than mine ever was.
Mhm.
So there was less, I think, otherness to it, essentially, with her class than with mine.
Mhm.
So I think it's also almost like the community learned too. Like the community had to learn along with everybody else that there were other people in our society.
right.
Wow.
So I have a very American upbringing. And so that's why I think it's really just not very different from any others. The one thing I can really remember, I think I was like in 6th grade maybe. And there was, I think, a Puerto Rican family who had moved into the area. And their kids were only very briefly in their school system. But this one little girl rode the bus and she and I became really close friends because we were on the bus together. And I remember one day, my mom was at the end of the driveway getting us off the bus. And this girl, she turned to me, she goes, "Your mom's white?" And I looked at her, I go, "No, she's green." And she was so floored by this. She didn't know what to think of it, and it was just kind of funny because with my friends, it was so matter of fact,
Sure. Sure.
She doesn't look like her mom, but that doesn't matter. And I think we're seeing that more and more with the families that are coming up now than even when I was growing up.
Mhm.
That it's okay that there are families that are mixed interracially, and that their kids don't always look like one parent or the other.
Mhm.
We hope that will continue, that
Yes.
people like you who have educated, that people are people, and whether you're living with a birth family or an adoptive family or from any country, that you are who you are.
And I think
Have you ever, go ahead.
I think that just speaks to love. Love
Very.
really is universal, and it doesn't have to have a defined anything. It's a really hard lesson,
Yes.
honestly. No matter what, it's a hard lesson. And there's no good way to teach somebody how to deal with it. My mom, she did a phenomenal job. And I think that's the biggest saving grace of it all, is the fact that she tried to turn it a different way so that I would try to gain a different perspective on it.
Mhm.
And the other side of that is teaching other people that it's not okay, and that no, I shouldn't have to be the bigger person to turn my cheek when you say something that's rude,
Mhm. Mhm.
or ignorant. It's not supposed to necessarily be, or at least it shouldn't just be my job to teach this other person that it's not okay. But that's really hard. It's hard to figure out that lesson. And it's also hard to figure out how to navigate no matter what. I'm going to be 27 in a few weeks. And even now, that's still sometimes hard. But I turn a lot of things on their head very quickly, and generally with a smile on my face, and generally not in a super antagonistic way.
Mhm.
But that's because most of the time, people aren't really trying to be terrible. They just don't realize that what they've said is weird or awkward, or it's and then kind of inappropriate. It's not completely terrible, but it's not also completely correct either. You don't walk up to random white people asking, "Oh, where are you from? Are you Ecuadorian?" Or, "Oh, your English is so good. How long have you been speaking English?" No, those questions only happen to people who look other. And that's something that still seems to fathom, like they can't fathom it anymore for some people. So when I have coworkers that witness it, they're just blown away by it, but they also don't know how to respond.
Mhm.
They don't know if it's their place to tell somebody that, no, you shouldn't say that, it's weird because then it puts the responsibility to react back on me to then give them the permission to act one way or the other, which there's a fine balance between turning it into a productive different direction or turning into a joke so that it just goes away. And there's just no good way to teach that.
So I'm sure
Mhm.
that's
I do think I kind of did go around your question though initially about discrimination, especially in higher education. If anything, I didn't ever experience it with professors so much as within my peer group, because I went away to school from Penn.
where did you go?
I
Where
went
did
to
you-
Albany first,
Okay.
which was way bigger than Penn ever was, of course. And a lot of kids that go to UAlbany come up from the city. And they're just immersed in all that diversity. So you'd think it'd be a completely different experience. But it was really weird because I kind of had the reverse happen to me, where I had other Asian kids looking at me going "How are you raised?
Mhm.
What?" And they couldn't wrap their heads around how different my upbringing was compared to theirs, and kind of a little bit vice versa too. So it's just strange. I think we just always have to have conversations, just honest conversations too.
Very true.
So I hope you all enjoyed those videos of the various perspectives that were shared by those three amazing people. And now, before we turn it over to a little bit of community conversation, there was a video that I wanted to share on the topic of, I went looking for initially cultural competency, and then as I researched it, I discovered that what we should be talking about is cultural humility. And this video is going to explain what those things are and what they mean. And it's going to talk about them in terms of a clinical context. The speaker on this video is a therapist, but I think that the concepts she describes apply to our everyday, broader lives. So we really wanted you to keep this video in mind as you digest everything that you've learned and the ideas you've encountered from reading the books we selected this year and from anything you encountered during all 4 of these sessions. And so ideally, as you do that, you'll carry the ideas from this video forward with you into every interaction you have with people who might be different from you in one way or another. And she's going to even share some praxis charts, she calls them, at the end of the video, which seems very very official and very clinical. But all that really boils down to is like carrying out privilege checks and bias tests. And there are lots of those available. I've collected a lot of them, and I'm happy to share those with people if they feel like they would be useful to them. So I'm going to switch over to that video now, and it's very short.
This brings us to some closing thoughts. We want to open it up to our audience, not necessarily for a discussion, but maybe it'll go that way. We're kind of looking for ideas, what you might have come away with, or what you're going to spend more time thinking about, or maybe you understand a little differently because of some things you read or something you heard, or maybe something you listened to. The Penn Young Action Coalition decided this year to focus more on the Asian immigration and what was going on because there was so much about it in the news. So we were trying to learn ourselves, and that's why we chose this area. So does anybody have any thoughts or any comments or ideas they'd like to share?
Yeah, I'm Cindy, and I just, in the little clip that we just had, she talked about accepting and honoring is cultural humility, and that we don't necessarily have to understand. And I think about having those characteristics and really trying to live them with any group that is considered other or any marginalized group. And I think sometimes I really feel I need to understand, but don't necessarily have to have a complete understanding. And I thought those words that she said were really, really important and to think about, to ponder them.
Ian? Yes. So I, for one, am I don't want to live in an all-white community. I want differences. But after hearing everybody, I'm wondering what's the proper way to address if someone's different and you really want to find out more. What's a good way to start a conversation without being offensive? Because when I think I've probably been guilty of saying the wrong things, but when I see someone different, I really want to find out more. Like, because we are pretty much an all white community, and I love diversity. So I really appreciate all that you've done, and I know I've just coming back. But what's a good way to start a conversation that isn't confrontational or offensive? Because I don't think I know right now.
Hey, welcome back, Debbie. First of all, it's good to see you again. She's been away in France for like 3 months, so now she's back. That's not Debbie Sewell's Peggy Sewell's twin sister. It's
I don't know.
Debbie. I'm glad you made it on in the bird song where in that beautiful hour where you were. It's beautiful. I don't know if you were expecting an answer right away. And I don't know that, obviously it's a big question that probably has a lot of different answers, but in the studies I've been doing, I think I have one starting point for all of us, which is the importance of not having those conversations and not asking those questions until you've built a relationship with the person. So in other words, not expecting it from someone who's just, it's the first time you've met them, you've been thrown into like a conference together, or you're walking in off the street into their business. or they're at a session at the library or whatever. And that might seem like common sense. But I think a lot of people skip that step in their eagerness. But what I hear time after time, and what I feel myself too as a member of a marginalized community, is I'm happy to share, and people generally are happy to share, but once there are authentic relationships built. And that might not be true 100% of the time. There might be people who are happy to share right off the bat, and there might be people who, even after you become close personal friends, there may be some topics that are off limits. But by building that relationship, then you know. So that's what I would say is like the first step to that, and answer that question, which I think is an excellent question, and I thank you for raising it. And I wonder if anyone else has any thoughts on that. It looks like Peggy does, the other Peggy.
Hi, Debbie, you got on. I'm glad.
Hi. Thank you.
One of the things that you heard Shay talk about was the intent of somebody. And I think it's difficult, and I would agree that you need to have a relationship. I had experiences where I was so inept, having adopted an African American children, but we got to know adoptive parents who were African American, and they helped us. And once the trust was there, I'd say, "So what did I say?" They'd say, "Don't you ever say that again." I'd say, "Well, what did I say? What was wrong?" And you have to have the trust. And then when they'd say, "We know your intent, Peggy. We know you." But you need to have somebody that you know and trust to ask the questions. And I think but as you know, you need to have some kind of relationship first. But no, where are you from, or etc. I understand.
Thank you. I had a funny experience in France, which was our community was multicultural, 70% French, and then the rest expats from all over. And I asked this woman that I believed was Swedish how she learned to speak English so well. And she just looked at me and said, "Because I'm British." And she put me in my place right away. But so anyway, thank you for all you've done, and this was great, and I'm glad I was able to join for this last one.
One of the things that I work part-time at a winery, and I pour wine for customers that come in, and we get people from all over the world that come. And yeah, I'm dying to know, about these individuals, where they're from, why they're here, what they're doing. But I usually wait, until after I've served them and, talked with them about the wines to set up some kind of relationship, so at least I think they trust me. And then many times I'll say to an individual, what is your family's heritage? Rather than saying, well, are you Chinese American? Are you German American or whatever? I inquire about their family's heritage. And usually that, once you've built up a little bit of a relationship with them, and I think it's easier, and they see your intent, that you're not being critical.
Thank you. Any other comments or thoughts? Suggestions? I want to bring your attention to the worksheet that Claudia developed, I guess, with people sending her information. And it has books and memoirs, fiction, poetry, young readers section, lots of materials that can be gotten at our library here. Web links and everything. So this is available and will be on the website that Alex is putting together, and it will be on the library website and also on the Penn Action Coalition. So that will be for the future if you haven't already looked at it. Any other thoughts?